friends, and welcome to another episode of the Woldenburn podcast. My name is Emily, and I'm coming to you from Kentucky in the United States, where I live with my husband and our beautiful little boy and our very soon to be arriving second little boy. I'm currently 37 plus weeks pregnant. Today we have another episode that's a little bit different than normal. This one is just going to be talking about some baby and children knits that I have been working on over the last bit. I don't have quite as much today as I did the last time, but I've got a decent few to talk about. So I'm trying to make sure that I get some of these up and done, some of these videos done and ready to go before baby arrives, because I honestly don't know when he's going to get here and how much time and energy I'm going to have to do any filming and anything, so I'm trying to get a couple more videos done. I'm hoping to keep this one fairly short because I would love to get at least the beginning part of a regular podcast episode filmed, because I do have a decent amount of just normal knitting stuff to talk about, but we'll see. So let's go ahead and dive right into it. So first off, let me talk about I have three finished objects. Two of them were works in progress last time, and then I have just two works in progress to talk about. I think that's all I have. First off, I wanted to show you that I have finished knitting the baby size of this stripey sweater. Last time I think I shared the toddler version, and now I have the adorable, very tiny baby version. I'm so excited about these. They're going to be absolutely adorable this fall, to be able to dress my boys up in their matching stripey little sweaters. It's going to be so cute. A little bit of details for this. The yarn that I used is the Barocco Vintage DK. I can never remember if it's baby DK or just DK. But I used it in three different colors: mallard, sunflower, and orange, I think is what they were. It's been a decent amount of time since I finished this one. But this one I did a little bit differently. So if you remember from the last video, I talked about how this one I used the pattern Tweety Jr. by Beta Jezik, who is the owner of Hedgehog Fibers. And it's a free pattern. It's just a very classic, simple raglan sweater. However, I had some, I'm assuming, gauge issues because I knit this on a US size 4 for the ribbing and a 6 for the body. And this was the smallest size, and it's big enough that it fits my toddler. So I was like, well, okay, this was supposed to be the baby one, but it was way too big. So what I did for the baby one is I went ahead and I cast on the same number of stitches as I did for the toddler one, because, you know, there's the whole thing where babies' heads are usually a good bit bigger in proportion to their body. So I cast on the same number of stitches, and then I just completely fudged the increases. I just kind of, you know, did some increases every other row, and then did some increases every couple of rows until I thought it was at about the right width. And I kind of compared it to the Micah's Raglan Tea sweater that I knit that was in the 3-month size. And I kind of used that as sort of a reference point for how big to do it. And I probably should have done it a little bit bigger. I probably should have done the increases a little bit more, but I think it'll be fine. And then, yeah, just knit the body, knit the sleeves. For the baby size sweater, I changed colors every 6 rounds. For the toddler size one, I did every 8 rounds. So you can see, maybe, yeah. The stripes are slightly narrower on the baby one, and I thought that just looked a little bit better. There were a million ends to weave in. It took me like 2 hours to weave in all the ends, but they're both adorable. They're super cute. I absolutely love them. And like I said, I can't wait to like dress the boys up in them and be so cute. So, first finished object. The second finished object that I have to talk about, let's see, is this Foxes for Felix sweater that I knit out of just some acrylic yarn from my stash. The green is a Hobby Lobby I love this yarn, just 100% acrylic. Then the orange, the little bits of black that you can see for the faces, and the white are in the Yarn Bee Soft and Sleek Low Pill Fiber 100% acrylic yarn. And I had mentioned last time that I kind of had some issues with this pattern because the stitch counts just seemed off, and I do still stand by that. I do think that the stitch counts are a little bit wonky. However, I do know that my gauge was just not, I went down 3 needle sizes and it didn't change my gauge at all. It was still too big. So I do want to be perfectly fair to the designers, the pattern and everything. My gauge was off, so that probably impacted some of the sizing. But I will say, if you want to try out this pattern, which I love the charts and everything, I think it's so, so cute. I would just say go into it with your eyes open, be aware that you might have to do some fudge work to get it to come up to the right size, because this was technically supposed to be the smallest size in the pattern. And basically, if you didn't watch my last kids knits video, I completely omitted one of the increase rounds. I used the, so you're supposed to work the ribbing, then you're supposed to do an initial increase. I, for one, skipped the ribbing and just did this rolled neck. I wasn't planning to do that, but I just loved how it looked. It just looks so cute. So I just skipped that initial increase round, and instead I used the first increase round as my second increase round, the second increase amount as my third increase round, and so on. And then I did end up doing, so I did 3 total like main increase rounds, and then I increased a little bit more before the final chart, just because I was like, I think I need a little bit more room. And the other thing that I would do is that I would do a different increase style if I use this pattern again, because, and some of this is probably my yarn again, like I don't think the designer, well, I know the designer didn't use 100% acrylic yarn, but you can see the ridges where the increases are very clearly. So you can see like there's an increase round, there's an increase round, and then I did a not as even increase, like there were fewer increases for the third increase. But yeah, overall, I'm very happy with it. It's definitely big on my toddler. It's definitely more of like a 3 to 4 year old size, which the smallest size in the pattern I think is supposed to be 2 to 4. So that's a pretty broad range size, but yeah, and this is, I don't think I mentioned that this is the Foxes for Felix pullover by Tough City Knits, I think. And yeah, I do think it's very cute. I didn't do any stranded color work for the facial features on the foxes, that's what it is. I just came back in and duplicate stitched those, and because I'm not the biggest fan of color work, and that just seemed like a really wide distance to have to carry the black yarn, so I didn't mess with that. So you can kind of see in here my floats, and then there's the black yarn from where I just carried it through and duplicate stitched it. So I think it's going to be a nice warm cozy sweater. I could see myself knitting this pattern again if I used like a DK weight yarn, but I think that that's potentially the only way that I would do it. Yeah, I'm not sure, because it irked me to have to mess with the numbers. It wasn't hard. I'm far enough advanced as a knitter that it wasn't a huge deal, but it just kind of annoyed me. But anyway, like I said, the chart's super cute. It's a really adorable finished sweater. I'm gonna love having my toddler wear it, so it's a win at the end of the day. But there's that one. And yeah, I just wanted to make sure that I said that, like, my gauge was off. I know my gauge was off, so the numbers may not have been as wonky as it first appeared, but they seemed wonky to me. Anyway, and then the last finished object, I actually just finished this like day before yesterday or something. It's a very tiny, cute little one. let me get it arranged. I made the tiniest little baby hat. Oh my goodness. I finished this and I was just like, it's so little. I have never made a tiny little newborn baby hat before, and so it kind of threw me off a little bit because I was just like, oh my word, it's so small. And then I was just like, I mean, yeah, newborn babies are small, so it makes sense. I knit this out of do I still have the yarn in here? It's a Regia. I do. Okay. Regia Baby Smiles, my first Regia. This was a gift from Stephanie of Texas Peach Knits, so I knew I wanted to use it for something special because it was a gift, and I don't know, I just felt like it made it even more special to make something for my baby when it was something that was lovingly gifted to me. And I think it's designed specifically for socks because it's designed to have, as you can see, like there's some different color changes in here, and that's all in the yarn. It's designed so that it'll have like small stripes if you made like baby socks. But one, this is a summer baby. He does not need wool socks. And two, I just never used socks when my toddler was a baby. He always wore the little footy PJ things that cover everything, and so I never really needed to put socks on him. So I've been humming and hawing trying to think what I wanted to use this yarn for, as I wanted to make something for him. And then I was like, oh, I could make just a little baby hat, because we definitely use hats for babies when they're little because they lose so much heat through their heads. And I did. I made this sweet little hat, and it's so cute. It's like finishing this was like one of those things where it just made it that much more real, where it was like, oh, we're gonna have a baby again. And it's just, I love it so much. I could see myself making a few of these hats just for like the Pregnancy Resource Center or something like that, or as gifts, because it's so cute. And it really took hardly any time at all. I was not working on this exclusively by any means, and it took me like 2-3 days to make it. So it's a very, very quick knit. And I just love it. I think it's so sweet. I used a free pattern. It's called the Peachy Keen Baby Hat by Chloe Rip of True North Yarn Co. I'll have it linked down below. It's really nice because it has two versions, a seamed version and a seamless version, so you can work it flat if you don't want to work it in the round. I just did it in the round, and I used a US size 1.5 millimeter needle. I just went down. The pattern calls for a 2.5. I didn't gauge swatch or anything. I was like, it's a baby hat, like I don't need to be that precious about it. But yeah, I really recommend it. It was a really fun, simple, super simple hat pattern to knit. It took 18 grams of yarn, so you could use a mini skein and whip up a little baby hat. And this is a 25 gram ball, so that means that I have, what, like 7 grams left? And so part of me is torn after all that talk of like not needing socks. Part of me is just like, I could probably get a pair of socks out of this and use up every last little bit. But again, like, my babies don't need socks. So, I don't know. I might just try and figure out, like, make some sort of a little toy or something with it. As like a commemoration of the baby being born, like maybe make a bluebird of happiness. That would actually be really cute to make a little bluebird of happiness. If you haven't seen it, it's a pattern by Sarah Elizabeth Kellner, and it's just like a little bird that you can hang on a little chain. That would be really cute. I might do that. Yeah, so I'm very happy with this. I think it's going to be perfect, and it feels a little weird. Like, we're getting to the point now where it's like starting to feel a little bit more real that we're gonna have a baby. And yeah, like I said, finishing this up and seeing how small it was and everything, because I've made my toddler hats, but they're not so tiny. It's just, yeah, we're gonna have a baby. So those are my finished objects, and then I have 2 works in progress to talk about quickly. The first one I think I mentioned in my last podcast episode about baby knits that I was planning to start it. And I haven't worked on this very much because I've had some other knit projects that I'm working on a little bit more that are a little bit of a higher priority. I've had a couple of test knits that I've been doing. Well, I've had 3 or something test knits, and I've been just working on other things because I'm not in a huge rush to get this done. But I have cast on the toddler size of the Micah's Raglan Tee, which is a pattern by Hannah of Hannah G Knits, and I shared the baby version last time, I believe, and so I have just started the toddler size version, and it's just this beautiful, I'll put a picture up here so you can see it better, but it's this really lovely classic raglan sweater, but it has these beautiful cables down the increase seams, and it's so pretty. It's so lovely. I need an adult version of it. And I'm using the Barocco Vintage Sock in the Azure colorway. And I ended up grabbing another ball of this from my local yarn store, and I'm hoping that's enough, because I am planning to make this long sleeves like the baby version. The pattern does it just as short sleeves, but I don't have a reason to put a little wool like t-shirt on my kids in the middle of summer. So I'm doing it in long sleeves, which is just a super easy modification. You can just keep going on the sleeves. I didn't do any extra decreases or anything. I just knit it straight down to the cuff, and it was fine. So I have that one on the go. My hope is to get that done by Thanksgiving, and then I am in the process, which I'll talk more about this in my regular podcast episode, but I'm in the process of knitting my husband a cardigan that is also in that royal blue colorway, and I had the realization that if I could get them all done by Thanksgiving, because my husband's birthday is actually right around Thanksgiving, so it'd be perfect, so I could do it as a birthday present, but then they could all wear their like royal blue sweater cardigans for Thanksgiving. Think of the pictures. I mean, it would be adorable. That's one of the other things that is kind of hit where I'm like thinking about like, oh, I can have the boys match their dad, and it's gonna be just the sweetest thing ever. So I'm working on that one. But yeah, like I said, it's a fairly quick knit, and so I'm not in a huge rush to get that done, because let's see, it's July now, so we have August, September, October, November. So we've got about 4 months, and so I would rather really focus on my husband's cardigan at the moment, because it's knit flat and in pieces, and it's also a man-sized thing. I think with that sweater, I could probably, if I didn't touch it again until November, which I'm not planning to do, but if I didn't touch it till November, I think I could get that little toddler sweater done in like a couple weeks. So it'll get done when it gets done. And then the last work in progress that I have to share with you today is it's a new cast on, and it's a little baby cardigan. So this pattern is another free pattern. It's the unisex V-necked baby cardigan. It only comes in one size, which it says is newborn to 3 months, and it's by Morven Swan. And I'll have it linked down below, because there is also a round-necked version that you can do. And this is a pattern that way back when, well, not way back, it's been like almost 10 years, but when I really first started like diving into knitting again and really getting into it, I knit at least 1, if not 2 of these, and I've been wanting to knit another one for some reason. It's knit flat in pieces and seamed together, but I just really wanted to knit another one, and I was Stephanie of Texas Peach Knits is hosting the Fluff Your Stash make along, and so I was going through and like organizing my stash, and I found, well, I knew I had it, I didn't really find it, but this gray ball of the Baby Bee Sweet Delight yarn that I bought on clearance for $1.37. I was looking at it and I was like, that would be perfect for this. It would be a perfect little baby cardigan. So that's what it's slowly going to become. And I am working, like I said, it's worked flat in pieces and then seamed, and I am using these straight needles that they're just like acrylic I don't know. I got them from Hobby Lobby again. My Hobby Lobby, I think, has just been reorganizing their knitting yarn section. And so they're clearancing out some of their tools and some of their other supplies and stuff. And so I was able to get these for like less than 50 cents, I think. And I had originally was just using some of my circulars, and then I had the realization, I was like, oh, I have these straight needles that I just got. I wonder how it would be if I knit this baby cardigan on the straight needles. I love it. I love knitting this on, like, for knitting flat, I'm like, maybe this is why the straight needles were such a thing back in the day, like, let alone aside from the fact that circular needles hadn't been invented yet. I haven't been the biggest fan of working things flat. That's part of the thing with my husband's cardigan that I'm making. It's been a bit of a slog trying to knit it, and I've been trying to figure out why, because I'm like, it's just knitting and purling, like, what's the big deal? And I think part of it is just the tools, because I've actually really been enjoying using the straight needles to knit this, and it's made it really easy. I don't have to worry as much about my tension on the purl rows because there's no thinning or whatnot. It's all the same diameter of the needle. And I feel really old-fashioned. Like, I feel full on, like, grandma mode. And I kind of love that. Like, I've been rereading a lot of the Miss Silver books by Patricia Wentworth, which are some Golden Age murder mysteries. And if you like knitting and Golden Age murder mysteries, I highly recommend them. I absolutely love them. I've read all of the books at this point like 3 or 4 times. And I just found out about them like 2 years ago. So they're firm favorites of mine. But in those books, she's always knitting, and it talks about, she's like knitting stuff for her niece's kids and all this stuff. And it's lovely. And so I just feel like I'm embracing my Miss Silver mode by knitting on straight needles, and I love it. So I haven't gotten super far with this. This isn't anything that I'm trying to like rush and get done before the baby gets here. It's more so just get it done when I get it done, but hopefully before he outgrows it. So this is just the back piece that I'm working on, and I have just started the decreases for the armholes. And yeah, I love it. I'm using US size 6 needles, and like I said, on straights. It's out of this Baby Bee yarn, which is a blend of acrylic and polyamide, and yeah, that's all I got to say about it. I'm really enjoying it. It's kind of one of those really fun, simple projects, and because I've enjoyed working on this so much with straight needles, I've ordered a pair of straight needles off of Amazon, which they were supposed to get here a couple days ago and they haven't. Rude. But that I'm going to try and see if that helps make my husband's sweater go a little bit faster, because I want to knit that sweater, but it's just a bit of a slog. So we'll see if the straight needles help that, and if they give the little touch of magic to make it go. But yeah, so that's all that I have to share with you today for this video. I hope that you enjoyed. I'd love to know if you have any like baby or kid knitting patterns that you really highly recommend, ones that you've used or that you have found that you've made and gifted to other people that they seem to really love and use. I'd love to hear about those. But yeah, that's all that I have to talk about today. So thank you so much for watching, and I will see you on the next one. Bye!